Hello, everyone, and welcome to another horrific review. Chris Luna and myself are back as we discuss Scary Movie 4, directed by David Zucker. Cindy finds out a little boy haunts the house she lives in and goes on a quest to solve his murder. Welcome back, everyone. Here we are
Woo!
again. God, this has went quicker than I thought. I thought it would take us a while to get through these movies, but we've got a decent pace going. We've only one more to do, and then we're ready for the new release.
Yeah,
It's going quick. They've been fun.
yeah,
Hi.
this definitely hasn't felt like long, especially working with you, fine gentlemen.
Thank you much. The
Appreciate it.
pleasure is ours. I'll speak for the both of us, but no,
Absolutely.
it's great to get together and uh, just riff on movies and all the bits about them. But I don't know about what you think, but this to me is what I've been worried about with this franchise because we've had three lucky strikes. Each one's been different. They've moved the franchise forward, and I've always been worried about that getting into the pattern of rinse and repeat. And I'll be honest, there's not much difference between this and part three.
Yeah,
It felt like a retread. What do you think?
yeah.
Take it, Luna. What do you think? Yeah, what do you think?
If I may, Colin, I was before we went live, I was telling you the analogy about dog poop. If
That's
I
a good
may,
one. Yep.
so if you have wet dog poop and dry dog poop, at the end of the day, it's still dog poop.
There were a
That's how
few.
I felt. That's how I felt about this one.
I don't know. It just felt like they were good over the same beats, not offering
I
anything new, and like
yeah, I could see that. But I do think they are picking movies that because I've always been a casual horror fan. That's always been the shtick is that compared to you guys and a lot of the people that appear on this channel, I don't get some of the references with some of the but the movies that they chose to make fun of in this, such as War of the Worlds, and I mean these are very The Village, like these are movies that even I'm familiar with, so I did get the references, and I love the spoof aspect. It definitely, I didn't laugh as often as I did with the previous three, um, but it still has that uh, same approach where they're trying to entertain you, and it did work for me. Still, I still enjoyed it, but I could see what you mean. This is the first one that did have an element of repetition, whereas the first three were really different from each other.
because this is the same director as this is Zucker who did Scary Movie 3, and
Yeah.
I just feel like it's the same, like beat for beat, the same formula. At least Wayans, when he did Scary Movie and Scary Movie 2, they were both totally different. So he escaped that trap. And even
Mhm.
though, like Chris, you didn't enjoy Scary Movie 2 as much,
Right.
but it was a different tone. So I enjoyed it, the fact that it wasn't a retread of part one. Like, if it had been the same gags as part one, I'd have been out.
Right.
And then three brought something different. But this, it just felt like it was going over the same. Even in the movie, it went over some of the same jokes, which got a bit like, what are you doing? Like, when you're doing Saw and Saw 2 in the same movie, you're like, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the one failing of it too is that we were talking about how the previous movies, even when they had these wildly disjointed movies that they're spoofing, they still were able to find a way in the writing to tie them together. But like, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but just to give you an example, like when it's an alien and they go up into the alien's belly or whatever, and then it turns into the Saw movie. Right?
Yeah.
You know, they didn't do
Mhm.
much to try to, like, you know,
Bridge
make
the
that
gap.
bridge the gap. Like, thank you, Luna. Yeah. So I think that's where it fails, because even though you put your brain on hold a little bit when you're watching these movies, you still want it to kind of be cohesive in a way. It's one movie. You don't want, like, it's not like a Saturday Night Live skit where you have like 10 different skits throughout the episode. Like, you still want it to make some coherent sense, and it failed for the first time, I think.
I can safely say I've never watched Saturday Night Live. Any of those sort of sketch shows with canned laughter. You do know they've now made a UK version of that, and nobody's
They
what.
have.
And I'm like, a thing popped up in social media, a clip of it, and I'm like, this is not
No.
funny. What the fuck is this? What are you doing? And apparently your version, the original version is failing anyway, so making a UK version doesn't make sense anywhere with American humor. The fuck?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just the two. I'll always there's a show back in the day called Red Dwarf, and they tried to make an American version of it, and it didn't get past the pilot. And it's always been as a warning that the two, water and oil, the two do not mix. They're completely different types of humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I know when they brought the Office, this popular TV show, over, it wasn't doing well initially, and then they had to kind of change it for an American audience. So yeah, the British humor and American humor are wildly different.
Mhm.
But my only point with the Saturday Night Live thing is that, funny or not, it's 10 or 12 different skits throughout the episode that have
Yeah, it's
nothing
not
to do with each other.
cohesive. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what this felt like, which you don't really want in a movie.
Did you just tell me off there for going on the tangent? Did you just admonish me, good sir?
No.
Is
I was just trying to make.
Is that what we're doing now?
I didn't mean to.
Is that you stick to the script, boyo? Is that what you're doing now to me?
I was just trying to explain my point.
That's the Mr. Uppity here. Seriousness.
I didn't mean to.
Consider me told. Oh dear.
I'm just
Anyway,
illustrating my terrible point.
your point has
Yeah.
been taken.
Personally, why I had such a hard time with this movie is all of the storylines they try to spoof, like War of the Worlds, The Village, Brokeback Mountain, Million Dollar
Oh,
Baby, and the others. I haven't seen all those. I haven't seen any of those. So all the references, I'm like, huh? What?
Yeah.
So I could understand that they were coming from those movies. I didn't understand the Million Dollar Baby references, any of them at all. I don't even know where they were. Brokeback Mountain was kind of easy to tell because the two dudes.
Well, they spelt it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
That was-
And the Village, I couldn't tell that one. And War of the Worlds, probably the alien
They did
situation.
the Tom Snooze version.
Mm-hmm. But that's probably why I had a hard time with this one, because I just didn't understand the references very well.
The Village is a weird movie. It's an odd one, and it's one of them. Once you get the reveal, that you can't watch it a second time. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Doing them movies, once you realize what it's about, then it's like it's not worth the
One and
rewatch.
done.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of M. Night Shyamalan's movies are like that.
Oh god, was that a Shenny Bum production? Oh my god, no,
Wasn't it The Village?
Yeah.
Shenny Bum strikes again, and the reason.
And Raven Wisha is correct. I hadn't seen Saw until he introduced me to the franchise. So thank you very much.
I have only watched the first 3. Once I heard they were making a part 4, I'm like, no, I'm out. They're taking the piss now. Because the 3 were a closed story arc. Fair enough. Once I heard they were making a part 4, I'm like, nah, forget it. Nah, they're just
Yeah.
It
What
lost
are
the
they up to?
plot.
Yep.
It derailed.
How many have you seen, Luna? I think I've only seen the first 3 too.
I think up to like 6 or 7.
Oh,
I know. And I think the 3D one. And that one, since if you're not watching it with the 3D glasses, the effects are like, you could tell they were trying to make certain camera points that way because of the 3D in theaters. And you're like, yeah, it doesn't translate well when you're not sitting in a 3D theater cinema.
That's always distracting when filmmakers are making a 3D movie and like the person points the dagger like exactly at the camera for no reason. Like, I'm gonna tell you something. It's like, what? You're
I'm
talking to
sorry.
me.
I
It's fine.
can. The only 3D
We just
movie.
watched 8. Sorry.
Oh wow.
Oh, just
Yeah.
just one movie, or
No. We're up
Wait.
to 1,
Saw
2, 3,
8.
blah blah
oh
blah.
right,
8.
okay, right. Oh, was there
I
like
didn't even know they
20
made 8.
There's like
Wow.
27 Saw movies or something now. It's stupid. Saw 52. It's Jigsaw's cloned himself and he's a cyborg.
It's his third cousin, Hacksaw.
Don't give him any ideas because we all remember Jason X.
Shit, behave yourself. That movie was fun. It did exactly what it said it's in. Everyone's taking everything seriously tonight. Oh my god. Is this what comedy brings out in people?
Yes.
You know the joke, about comedy writers? And all that there.
Saw 17, his cousin, Hacksaw from Kentucky.
Oh no.
So talking to Saw,
Buzzsaw.
this is how we open up. Busy get the Saw parody. Looks like Shaquille O'Neal's young in this, isn't he?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's hard to imagine him in his younger days because all you ever see him is like later now in life, what I mean? More often than not. It's weird seeing him young.
I enjoyed the opening. I found it funny. It was a reference that I got, from the Saw movies, and that is something that I would do. I would totally cut off the wrong leg. So
Yeah.
I liked it. I think that all 4 movies have done a good job with the opening scene. I think they continued the tradition. My issues with the movie happened later on. So I thought this was a good opening. What did you guys think?
I enjoyed it. Now, once again, Dr. Phil's one of them people I'm aware of, but I've never watched because that sort of, it's like Jeremy Kyle over here. I don't know who's but just taking advantage of people who are broken in the head, and parading their like mental illness and TV is not good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's who the hell goes to national TV to find out if their partner's cheated on them, and not the father of their child, or all that kind of, like, who does that in public? You have to be, there's something wrong with you, you know what I mean? There's some serious issue going on there.
Yeah, you can't be excited when you're going on the show in 3 weeks and like the title of it is "You're Not the Mama" or something like that. Like, you can't be excited to, like, what is
To
this?
be on a show. Like
Yeah.
The Price is Right or something.
Is there something you want to tell me before we go on this episode? No, everything's gonna be fine, honey. And then you get there and the big reveal.
Oh. Ouch.
Yeah, that's never good.
That's like, yeah, it's horrible.
One thing that I did notice about this opening is the other openings that we have, they kind of tie into the main story, with the priests and and all the other stuff. They kind of tie in. This one was completely random. We never saw Shaq. We never saw Dr. Phil again. We have no idea where they got this footage from or
no,
what
we
happened
did
to it.
see them later on. Do you remember the clothes?
Just the bones.
Oh, yes, just the bones. Yes.
Yeah, but no context. Like, why?
No yeah, there was like, it was just kind of like, I guess we'll leave it up to your imagination. But I did enjoy the fact that they made fun of Shaq because he's really bad at free throws. And he's just like keeps missing and missing. And that's one of his things is he's bad at free throws. So they made fun of that.
Yeah, it was funny, but like I said, they just don't tie the whole Saw thing together with the aliens. It just it didn't make sense that Jigsaw is an alien. Like, that had nothing to do with the original movie. Like, to do a spoof successfully, you have to at least attack true elements of the actual movie and make fun of it. When you just make stuff up, like now Jigsaw is an alien and he's like the brains of this whole, it just loses something.
No, it's this is what I had a problem with, because go back to, like, same director, Scary Movie 3. There's a thread running the whole way through it. and it kept you going, and it brought it all back together, and it was clever, and it didn't overstay its welcome in places. I genuinely laughed. This was more going through this. Oh, I get that reference. Oh, I get that reference. Oh, I get that reference. But it wasn't like chuckling,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
or laughing out loud the same. I was just sort of more of, can I get can I pick up the Easter eggs they're dropping, as opposed
Yeah.
to just enjoying the movie and that being secondary, which they did very well with the first three.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we go on to we talk about the Earth's being watched from afar by aliens, etc. And you're like, hang on, this is a continuation. We know this. What are they doing? We had an alien
Mm-hmm.
invasion in the previous movie. They're doing another alien invasion, and sure enough, they were doing another alien invasion. But it's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like these movies work better when they stick to the initial premise that doing a spoof of scary movies like Scream, like The Ring. I just feel like it works better. Like, can they spoof War of the Worlds and sci-fi movies and other things like that? Yeah, and it's successful at times, but I don't know. I just feel like
But they've done it with part three. They've done
they
an alien
did.
invasion. So
Yeah, right. Well, like you
It was
said,
something
there was
different.
repetition. Yeah,
like the three movies have had a different focus,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what kept them fresh as well. This, once again, because they're going straight to an alien invasion, that just felt like a retread instantly. You're like, it doesn't matter what they could have done. District 9, they could have done anything, but it's still an alien invasion movie. So that, what I mean, part one was a slasher, part two was paranormal, part three was alien invasion. So they should have done something different. Even
Mm-hmm.
cosmic horror would have, if they had it done Color Out of Space or something, or Mouth of Madness,
aliens,
or
spoof aliens, right?
Yeah. Or Predator.
Predator. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
there's
something like that.
100 ways that
Yeah,
if they want to bring cosmic elements or extraterrestrial elements, but not be a rehash of the first one or the third one. Sorry.
Yeah. In 5 years, if you ask me to which one had the aliens, a scary movie 3 or 4, I would get them very confused.
Hmm.
Because at first, before rewatching these, I was like, okay, 3 has the aliens, but I'm like, but I think 4 has aliens too. So that's where, like, if you don't see these movies for like years, you'll kind of can't remember them very well because they're both have a similar alien invasion theme.
Yeah, we're one,
yeah,
two, three, very distinct, very different. You can decompartmentalize them. You can pick on a theme. Yeah, this was disappointing. Um, and then, I don't know. Could they not afford Charlie Sheen for the whole movie again? Because we'll obviously meet up with Tom again, and it just feels like, all right, okay, we've got to get rid of the original cast or something, or the ones from the last movie, because I just felt so uh, rushed or something.
yeah. I feel like this is the first movie that I missed the original cast. I missed Shorty, I miss Ray. I didn't
Mhm.
miss them in 3. I thought the movie held up fine on its own, but this one I felt like Cindy needed some help. Brenda was funny at times. I
But it wasn't
actually.
Brenda. They
What
changed
do
her
you mean?
character. It wasn't. It
Oh,
Yeah.
wasn't.
oh yeah,
It
yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
Brenda.
yeah. She
No.
was different.
I'll get
Yeah,
to that. You know what I mean? But this was not
yeah,
Brenda. That's yeah.
yeah. But I didn't know if the new guy was that successful. It was like a
I
one note.
did
He
not
had
like
he
him.
had Yeah, like he had this look where he would just, look funny at what the other person was saying, but they repeated that constantly. He was like a one note actor. He didn't have like a second game or move, besides that, just to kind of like look to the side to, so that the audience is laughing at what the other person said, but he didn't bring that much. I felt like Cindy was missing someone. I think the supporting cast in 3 was much much stronger. Leslie Nielsen was great. There were some good parts, but yeah,
Even he felt like he was dialing it in a bit.
Yeah. I don't feel like his character was as strong as in this one. And I definitely don't like what they did to Brenda's character because it felt like they took all the elements that Ray had and pumped it into her. And it didn't translate well for me.
No, that just wasn't. It just wasn't her. So, and I don't know, because even with the sexual elements, it was always Brenda and Ray, and it was always every time they tried to get freaky, it went wrong, and that was the joke. The
Brenda would
running,
mess it up. Yeah.
yeah, it was a running joke. But just to have her throwing it about all over the place was like, what are you doing? That was
Yeah.
Mhm.
more what do you call her? Brandy's character, the other one with the long hair who wasn't in this one. That was her character.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm blanking on the name.
She
Yeah.
played she did the Buffy ripoff in the first one, and then she did
Right.
the other one. Is, you know what I mean? That was her character. It's like they transposed her character onto Brenda,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
Mhm.
it just didn't fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
I think Charlie Sheen, had he been in the movie throughout, it would have been a lot more successful. I didn't realize how much he really carried a lot of three, a lot of the story beats, and he was definitely missing in this one. One of the funniest scenes in three was the whole scene with the where he finds his wife wrapped around the car,
Mhm.
and just how he played all the questions he asks the cop. Which side can I talk to? The top side or the bottom side? You know, like a lot of that was missing from this one. I think he would have helped a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it just felt like they were just trying to get him written out of as quickly as possible. It's like, why even have him in then?
Right.
Why make this a continuation if what you're trying to do is rewrite out the characters? I don't know.
Yeah. And the characters were
Um,
so different. Cindy wasn't a reporter, you know, so it's not even, she's not a single mom. I mean, she's like very different than she was in the previous movie. So it did feel almost like different characters throughout. Brenda was different. Cindy was different. Yeah.
and I even thought when we introduced, God, what was his character's name? Um, oh, he was Tom as well. They called him Tom as well, didn't they?
Oh, her husband.
Or the new guy.
Oh, the new
Uh,
guy.
Was
Tom
he Tom?
Ryan?
Yeah, he was Tom as
Yeah,
well. Yeah,
Tom Ryan.
yeah. They
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
so I don't know. Like could have picked another name, like having two Toms in the same movie, and even briefly
Mhm.
was that's silly. So, I honestly thought the whole crane scene. I thought they were going to redo Wishmaster. I thought that's where they were going,
Right.
but they didn't. It just why have him as a crane operator just to like get fired or something? I don't know. His whole introduction of the character didn't make any sense.
And that never came back at the end, right? They didn't
Why
pay that
can
off.
he never operated a
Mhm.
crane to do anything to save the earth? So what was the point of that whole build up?
Yeah, exactly.
Was it all for that one joke where he's operating the arcade game? The what do you call
Yeah,
that game? Yeah, the
or
crane game,
the
whatever.
grabber thing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Was it
Crane,
just for
yeah.
that? He's like, I never want to touch another crane again, and then he does that arcade.
yeah, but that's a very expensive setup for one.
Exactly.
For a
Uh,
very not good joke, yeah.
mm, you would think him being a crane operator or something would have like God, the guy from the last one being the rapper and stuff. You know, it actually connected all together because that's how he had his friends from the hood. That's how he got help. Blah blah blah. You know, that's how the first Tom got introduced, you know, and all connected together,
Yeah.
picking up the kids from school, it all tied. This is just so disjointed.
Yeah.
That's why you're just sort of nodding and going along. You're not really getting invested in the story, and that's what I've enjoyed about the first three because you're invested in the story and you're enjoying the gags as it went along, but you've something to follow. This is just like don't know what they're
Yeah.
playing at.
I agree 100%.
Um, yeah, and then we find out about his ex-wife, Marlon, like that joke in the bar. Um,
Yeah.
she's a local
Gosh.
bike, and then when we meet Marilyn, it doesn't make sense. It's like, what?
Yeah, you're
I
right. You
thought
mentioned
that
it.
would have been Brandy's character. I thought that was the way to bring her. She was going to be Marilyn. I thought that's who they were going to bring in. And then
Right.
that would have kept the joke, but to bring this random person in that just had nothing.
Yeah, that made yeah, and like you said about repeating jokes, like that was a joke they used repeatedly, where she slept around with everyone. Brenda makes that joke. The two Brokeback Mountain guys made that joke. Like it's the same thing where everyone slept with everyone before. All right, it's funny once or twice, but they use it at least 4 or 5 times during the movie, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's as well. Obviously, when we get no, it hasn't got that part yet where he's going to pick up the kids. They basically go for beat, the War of the Worlds movie, like scene for scene, with no jokes. You're just like, what are you doing? Ah,
Yeah.
dear.
Yeah, some of the jokes fell flat. Where even when the alien creature, or whatever, starts blasting people, so it blasts the three people, and all that's left is their chains. Um, it's all right. And the woman who punches the other one, he takes the coat. I guess there were some funny things, but it didn't. I wasn't laughing as much as I was in the previous ones. Those are very like low hanging fruit jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Those aren't. There's not like a good joke in some of these movies are you have a setup and then a payoff. Like this, it's just kind of not a lot of work goes into it.
And
It's
not even good
very
slapstick. Very Sharknado-esque, wasn't it?
yes, yeah. That's a
Mm-hmm.
good example.
It reminds me of an off the time, setting where, oh yeah, I get that reference, but if you're not part of the cool gang at the time watching it, the laugh with your mates, it's not really. I mean, there's no longevity in this one.
Yeah. I did enjoy it infinitely more than Sharknado. I don't want to put it in the Sharknado category,
Uh,
but that's
But
that's
it
not a
dangerous.
compliment.
It veered dangerously close.
Yeah,
It got too sailed too close to the sun. You know what I
yeah. That's not a
It's
high
trying to be
bar.
Icarus.
mean? I thought the whole, and the only reason I didn't watch Brokeback Mountain is that when I saw the trailer, that line of "Hey, I can't quit you," I just went, "Nope." That put me off the entire movie. I can't remember. It's Heath Ledger and who was the other one?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake,
Right.
yeah.
One of them said that line, and I just noped out of the movie. That just like, oh no, if that's a dialogue, I'm out. I'm very prissy when it comes to dialogue. If there's like horrible dialogue in a movie, I just can't.
No, yeah.
I've noticed that's my major bugbear. I can tolerate a lot of things, but if it's like crap, cringeworthy dialogue, I'm out. I just can't like listen to people talk nonsense.
Yeah,
But
especially.
thank you to the audience for listening to us talk nonsense. We really appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I was just about to say that to you, Colin. I guess now I won't say that.
Yeah.
No, we got Brokeback Mountain the musical, and it was, I don't know. To me, that sort of comedy needs to be a bit more subtle. We get the joke, but they just went overboard, and it just didn't. It stopped being funny after what was that? That scene was about 9 minutes long or something, wasn't it? It was a long scene.
Yeah. The problem that I had also too with that scene is they weren't really Cindy's like like their main friends. I don't know why they got that much screen time. Is they're just like background characters. So it's just who cares kind of deal. Like we don't care about them. Personally,
Yeah,
I didn't have any investment in them.
That's a great point. And I think maybe, like you said, Colin, where it seems like Brenda kind of usurped some of the story beats that would have gone to the long haired actress. Maybe this, they were missing Ray. Maybe the original script had Ray a part of it. And so that scene kind of usurped some of what, Ray was intended to portray. So it had that feel that these story beats were meant for some of the original cast, and we're just kind of like pigeonholed into these other actors that we are not as invested in. So it doesn't quite fit.
Do you think this is the fallout? Do you remember, Luna, you were talking about the whole Miramax thing,
Mm-hmm.
where Weinstein basically booted Wayans out of the project?
Yes.
Do you think that's there's cast members basically who were loyal to Wayans and they just went, nah, we're out of this too. And then that's kind of the fallout of not just losing the director, but as you know, there's directors that have loyal, they have their actors, that's their team, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a touch of loyalty there. So the fallout is basically, right, I'm not doing Scary Movie anymore, and that's left like a gaping hole and a continuity. They tried to fill the continuity between 2 and 3, and it worked, but now we're seeing it get into 4. It doesn't, because the
Mm-hmm.
characters that they brought in for 3 don't have the, like Mahalik and CJ, like they're one note wonders.
Mm-hmm.
And they're actually starting to hear Chris Rock's voice now. Like he's got into his, like he played CJ as a different character, but this time Chris Rock's starting to come through, like that whiny, annoying voice of his, where he had toned it down for the previous one. And that guy that plays Malik, I've seen him loads of things. He's the same character in everything he does. So they're not
Mm-hmm.
strong enough. They got rid of Charlie Sheen, so he would have been a good one if they had kept I forget the Eminem wannabe, that guy, just kept them
Mm-hmm.
as a married
Yeah.
couple. They've got rid of Cody.
Yeah.
Like there's no continuity between us. At least between 1 and 2, there was continuity.
Mm-hmm.
You felt the same, a comedy troupe, a cast together. I thought they'd done a decent job between 2 and 3, but this just shows that it's a collective, it's not individuals. You have to have a group effort. You have to have people that bounce off each other. You need that rapport.
Yes.
If you don't have it, then there's nothing. It's like if we couldn't do this if we didn't have rapport, you know what I mean? It would be bloody impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think any problem in Hollywood is, like I said, it's always going to go down to the Weinsteins and any of the Steens, right? Epstein, Weinstein. But I think primarily this has to do with money. Probably the actors from the previous ones were like, hey, we've done this project for this many years, this many movies, we want more money. And Miramax is like, to hell with you, we'll just find another one. So I think that's exactly what happened. I haven't done any research on it. I'm just speculating based on what happened originally with the original crew. They wanted money.
Makes sense.
There's something's went on in the background because you can feel it
Mhm.
in this movie.
Mhm. Yeah.
You can even feel it, you know what I mean? You can feel
Yeah.
people are going through the motions and dialing this in. The vibe's gone.
Yes.
The vibe's not there, and that's something you can't quantify. That's something you can't manufacture or pay for. It has to be there.
Yeah, I also think the premise of this franchise is to spoof horror movies, and horror movies generally have a group of people, usually young people, that do stupid things, but they have a group of people that slowly get picked off one by one. But it's that group dynamic that's important. Like this, if you look at some of the the supporting cast that Cindy had, Brenda, okay, but she is a little bit different, so that kind of takes you out of it. But I mean, the son, Robbie, he wasn't even like a believable character. Like there was nothing to him. He's running into the war to get killed. Like
But that's a
really
bait for if you've seen More of the Worlds of Tom.
yeah,
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 it's
yeah,
bait for bait. Like it's a
yeah.
scene for scene with no
It is.
context. They just copied it, and you're like, but
Yeah, the daughter wasn't nearly as good as Cody was. You know, we talked about how rare it is to have a good child actor. So the third one had that. This one didn't have that. You know, I don't mean to disparage her. They didn't really give her much to do. Um, but there really wasn't much of a supporting cast, and that's like the key aspect of a horror movie and a horror movie spoof is you need that group. And it was really just Cindy. She did a great job. The actress Anna Faris continues to be excellent, in my opinion. But she just didn't have anyone to play off of in this one.
and
Hmm.
that's so important. Like I said, no, it's you can't just have the one star carry an entire movie because it never works.
Yeah. So what I'm seeing from the internet is that from 3 to 4 there was a lot of changes within the creative teams and focus, which resulted in abandoning the focus of Cindy and Brenda's characters because of that change in creative team. So,
Maybe
yeah.
writers, maybe yeah,
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 that's
so
and
that's
something's
why.
obviously the
And
Waynes, and yeah,
obviously, I'm 100% certain it has to do with money. Because if the old writers wanted more money, and you can just hire this other writer, and it's going to change the dynamics of everything. But hey, pay him less. That's always been the motto at Miramax.
yeah. You can feel it, like you can.
Mm-hmm.
There's so it's really obvious when something in the background pushes forward onto the screen. Alien 3 is another perfect example of that. There's other, there's movies we could go back to previous reviews. You could always tell something's went on, and then when we look into it, yeah, there were shenanigans in the background, and it just
Mm-hmm.
kills the whole vibe. It's sad, you know what I mean?
yeah,
I've always wondered how movies actually happen because you've got these two diametric forces. You've got the super uber creatives who just go off the rails, and then you've got these super like grey corporate types, and somehow they come together to make entertainment, and it's the two worst people to put together.
right, yeah,
And yeah,
yeah.
the fact that
It's
movies come out
rare
at
when they,
all,
yeah,
if you've
it's
got a
rare
good
when it
creative,
works well.
if you've a good creative team, then the studio always interferes. If you have a terrible creative team, the studio steps back and lets them run on with it. You're just like, what?
No. Yeah, I have noticed that.
How many shit directors have splurged money up the wall? You know what I mean? Like hundreds of millions, and just not a thing. And then you see other movies with competent like directors and ads and everything, and they're micromanaged to the nth degree, and the studio gets involved, and you're like, what the hell?
I also think a little bit of knowledge is dangerous in certain executives. So I've noticed because we've done some reviews of some of these franchises, Colin, like the Leprechaun and Sharknado, and some of these ones that have gone on for 6, 7, 8 movies. It seems like there's more studio interference as you go because I feel like the executives feel like they know what it is, right? Like the
Hmm.
first two movies, like they rely on the creatives to come up with this stuff, but once they see it, they feel like they know all they need to know, so they can just replicate it, almost like an AI type of thing, and just copy paste onto the next one. And I think that's where you see like a diminishing return on some of these franchises that go on for a while because the executives feel like, oh, okay, I know what this is. I know how to make this. I know how to save money. I know we could trim 20% of the budget by taking this and this out. I know because we've had success with the first three movies, so we could make it more cost effective in the fourth one. I feel like that happens a
Yeah,
lot.
never step up. It's like the commentator, you should do this, you should do that, but they never step up and do the thing themselves. I think one thing annoys me about the whole Hollywood thing is they never name the executives. It's always some unknown where start such and such got involved, such and such did this, plaster their picture all over the internet and let them take the flak. I
Hmm.
mean, once an executive
Mm-hmm.
starts getting involved, fucking put their name everywhere. Just poof. Don't
Yeah.
care about NDAs. Don't care about not getting the job again because if they're screwing with you now, they're going to do it. So just hang them out and let us have at them. And if you find it's the same executive every time, they'll think twice. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I just it's something that annoys me, and there's an element of cowardice to it because I've heard as well. You know, when something's brand new, it's an unknown quantity. You never hear from any of these executives. Once it becomes a success, all these people start coming out of the woodwork. Oh, I was involved in this. I signed this bit of paper. I was involved. And they're all, trying to get their name and then they start sticking their fingers in, and then it goes to rat shit, like you said. I just want these people. These are the people that cause the problems. I want them named so we can abuse them on the internet, call them names.
Oh yeah. The perfect example of that, Colin, is John Wick.
Mhm.
John Wick almost didn't happen because they couldn't get the funding. And Keanu Reeves had to beg. I forget one of the. They're an executive producer now on John Wick, but one of the big actresses in Hollywood was like, "Hey, we need to come up with this
Oh,
much
I
money."
heard this. Oh my god, who was that?
I'm terrible with names as well, but yeah, it
I
was.
know who you mean, and I remember that story. And he went there, and she got it happening.
She got the money for them,
Yep.
but now John Wick,
Sandra Bullock?
everybody, no, everybody
I took a
wants to
shot.
be involved now.
God,
Like, but see,
Yeah.
nobody, because it's an unknown quantity. They didn't want to. No investors wanted to take a risk on it. Nobody knew John Wick. Everybody was like, ooh, afraid, and they read the script and they're like, no, the dog can't die. Spoiler alert. But it works, and yeah, and I'm glad they took a risk. But now everybody wants to be a part of it because it's been so successful.
and then ballerina happens.
Yeah.
God, that was horrible.
I personally felt like it was okay, but it didn't really contribute much to the universe.
When you can see everything happening before it happens, and yeah, I was just please stop. Please stop. It was like
Yeah.
welcome, Ugly Nation. Yeah, we enjoy this franchise, and the reason we're doing these movies is obviously getting ready for part 6 coming out, so we've got ourselves caught up. But what do you think of this movie compared to the rest? Are we being too harsh? Is it because we've got used to this level and then it's dropped, and it could still be like compared to a lot of movies, still funny?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I've compared to 3. 3 was my favorite of the 3 so far, and this was my least favorite. But so it's noticeable for me in particular because it's such a big drop off from the last one. I don't know. I think you guys said that you liked the first or the second one the best. So, but for me, just it was a precipitous drop coming from this last one. Having said that, I did still laugh at this. I did laugh at this more than I laughed at some of the Sharknado movies, at some of the later Leprechaun. What was the other one we just did, Colin, with the little critters? Critters.
Oh, Critters. Yep, the Critters series. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
My brain works sometimes even when I don't realize it. So I am still enjoying it, but it was a big letdown coming off that last one.
Yeah, but yeah, I suppose at the same time, it's still the bar's higher than like a lot of stuff. But yeah, we're just say the dramatic shift, like it's noticeable. Like it's not just it's like whoa, something's going on, something's dramatically changed.
Yeah,
like Luna said, the change in the writing team partway through a project is going to do that.
Yeah. And by the way, it was Eva Longoria who forked up $6 million. $6 million.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a good friend.
But the film grossed $87 million. Yeah. So return on investment, I would presume.
Yeah, but at the same time, it could have flopped as well. So it's that's the chance you take. But nobody's taking chance. Well, they'll like I said, they'll happily splurge 400 million on flops after flops, but a
Hmm.
modest amount. They act like it's like the crown jewels. It's weird.
But you're right, Colin. Though that no one's taking chances on new IPs. Like John Wick was a completely new movie.
Hmm.
That's where I feel like the Hollywood has gotten very very tight in the budget. Like they'll do you know 10 different versions of Game of Thrones, or Lord of the Rings or any franchise. They'll just
A new
repeat.
Mission Impossible movie yet
New Mission
again.
Impossible. Yeah, great example. But a new IP, they don't take chances on it. It took
Mm-mm.
Eva Longoria, to help get that done. So I think that is a good example.
Yeah, and it's just it's something has to change
Definitely, I
because you can just
agree.
the holes. When people need their imagination sparked, and we need new things. Everything's become stale and stagnant, and it's
Yeah,
yeah. That's why it's good to sort of go back and look at these things and remember where we were. And
Yeah.
even at this is still like I wouldn't call this a new franchise, but even into the fourth movie, it was still like they were putting out quick enough, that it was still fresh.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. We'll get to this office and the what is it? They're like the housekeepers, like the cleaning agency or whatever else. And like, what would they do about Cookie? Like that. That was one of them jokes. I don't know. It was funny, and then it just went on too long.
The home health aide, the one
Yeah.
that was
So
turned
she was
into
the
like
one
a
that had
demon.
previously been to the house, then she's sitting in the thing, and
Yeah.
her whole face went, and I'm like, what? What? I don't get it. What's the joke here?
Yeah.
Because in part three, because they were doing Ringo, the ring, you got the idea, that was the whole premise. But in The Grudge, that's not how it went. People disappeared.
I was going to ask you guys. I didn't get the reference as far as like someone in a home that turned into a demon. Like, I wasn't sure exactly which movie they were spoofing
I
with that.
The Grudge. They were doing The Grudge.
The Grudge. Okay.
But they only had Toshio. They didn't have the mother and the father, so you once again you didn't even get the full reference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, it was a partial.
I
Yeah,
don't
that
know.
fell flat.
Yeah. But that's not how the victims, turned out. They disappeared. They were just found dead. There was no facial thing happened with them. It was like it wasn't like the ring. The ring, people are found desiccated in a certain pose, like Brendan the coffin. That what I mean,
Yeah.
that was the whole
Yeah.
thing. It worked. This didn't
Hmm.
because it wasn't even that. So having Cokie in the office and they're using her the like stamps and stapler and stuff. It was just I didn't get the joke. It didn't land.
Yeah.
Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Yeah, I think
Help me.
they I think they were trying to set up the idea of why Cindy would be instantly hired when she comes in. So this was an example of what happened to the last person, just to kind of set up the danger aspect of what she's about to encounter. But it was a little clunky, and they left the camera on Koki too long. So it was almost like in the second movie where the joke with the Chris Elliott is the actor's name with the deformed hand,
Mhm.
and they just let that go on and on where he's doing the mashed potatoes for like it seems like 10 minutes. You know, if you don't have a great joke, just get in and get out. Get to the next one. And
But they'd already set it up
yeah.
with Mr. Koji, and they just said, "Oh, the last one. Oh, what could we possibly do?" The
Hmm.
joke's set up, and then Cindy just turns up. Oh, can you start today? I don't get what the whole extra scene was, or was this just
Yeah.
padding out? Is this a case of the new writing team come in? They didn't have the ideas, and a lot of this is just padding out scenes to get the
I think there's
runtime.
something to that.
Maybe just setting up like the type of work, like the office environment, which we don't even see. So it just seemed useless to set up so much.
It's like the crane scene with Tom at the beginning, like all that setup,
Mm-hmm.
and then it goes nowhere.
Yeah.
I think you're alluding to the pacing of this, which was definitely off. Certain scenes took way too long, and then other scenes which were comedically working, they got away from too quick. An example would be the War of the Worlds scene with the who's the name of that actor at the end where he's got the shotgun and they're in the basement.
Madsen. I
Yeah.
couldn't remember what movie he was trying to parody because it wasn't Reservoir Dogs. God, he's done a shitload of stuff.
Yeah,
I
but I
can't.
thought that was great. I'm like, finally, we have a
Mm-hmm.
good actor, and could be a good scene. And that scene in War of the Worlds where he's that crazy guy in the basement, that was like really memorable to me. So I thought, like, here, if we finally have a good scene, and then they get away from it too quick, and they have the alien coming in and humping the vacuum cleaner, and that's what I mean. Like,
that was okay. You know, what I mean, that was actually funny enough for a scene.
yeah,
But I couldn't remember the reference. He's parodying one of his own characters in a movie.
maybe Reservoir Dogs or something
No,
like
it's not
that,
because he was in
or
this. You know, he's Mr. He Mr. Black. But they all wore suits anyway.
yeah.
It's another movie he's been in, and that's the joke. And I can't remember
Okay. See, it went over my head, but the pacing of the movie was off. The scenes that were not working, they stayed on way too long, and the scenes that had potential, they got away from too quick.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Here's another thing that didn't really. I know it was the meet the. They didn't give the kid a name, but the Toshio, ripoff. The whole point of him going to Cindy getting employed and working in Mrs. Norris's house was to, introduce the grudge. But Koji looks like he's taking care of it anyway. I
Yeah.
don't know. Like, he could have just looked after Mrs. Norris and just slapped the kid around. I mean, it would have been done. We lost the whole premise of the
Mm-hmm.
drama with the jokes. The jokes actually worked against the storyline. Because if Koji's able to deal with a kid, and yes, the boss scene is always funny and stuff, but it took it away. You know what I mean? It took away from the actual. How can I put it? Because it's obviously not horror. You know what I mean? There's no horror in this. It's horror comedy. It's spoof. But the sense of danger to Cindy, because if the wee kid's not easily dealt with, then what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I saw it as like Mr. Koji just doesn't want to deal with this shit, so he's just gonna pass it on to the intern. It's like, oh, get the brand new intern to do this because I don't want to deal with this. It kind of gave me that vibe, as opposed to, yeah, he could handle it, sure, but why when he just had the intern do it? It kind of felt that kind of vibe to me.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it would have worked better if the little boy killed Mr. Koji, because then in a funny way, where Cindy's not even aware of it, and she's like talking to him, and he's been dead for a half hour, kind of like the scene with was it 3? I get them confused. Which is the one where Jenny McCarthy and Pamela Anderson, and Pamela Anderson is talking to Jenny McCarthy even though she's clearly dead. Her face. She's clearly been dead for a while, and her face is sweet. Something like that. If they had Mr. Koji die in a comedic way, then it still would have ramped up the tension for Cindy. How is she going to survive the situation? Yeah. But the fact that Mr. Koji handled it well and left, it's like, all right, well, it's not that.
You should like with bath scene. There you go. If you had just plunked headfirst into the bath, because the Toshio pulled him, job done.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like a drowning would have been good, and then she just doesn't find them because that black water, like in that bathtub, just that looks kind of gross.
So it's supposed to be the hair. Once again, and the hair thing is more Ring than The Grudge. I know they use a similar style, but they're two completely different movies.
Yeah, they're very different. I don't think
It's almost
the
like they didn't watch.
no, they didn't.
They didn't watch The Grudge. They don't get what it was about because this is a different movie from The Ring.
They're just like, oh, creepy, long-haired Japanese girl.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's yeah. So like I would have liked there to be a purpose for Mrs. Norris's character. Like if they just had Cindy house setting, it would have made sense. But why introduce Mrs. Norris and have her almost like a central character, not to make use of her?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few
Yeah.
gags and stuff. Cindy's like basically, shouldn't be in charge of anything. But I think Mrs. Norris should have had, gave a revelation or been a central part of the plot. What is with all these disposable characters that are coming in, where the other three movies didn't do that? They stuck to the main, like Chris said, stuck to the main group, and then the group got whittled down or whatever towards the end. But this was just new character, new character. Even part three was the same. You had your central characters, and the central characters moved along. But this is just every scene's a new character being brought in and focused on with
And
no
they
pay.
don't hold any weight, yeah.
And it's a waste too, because I think Cloris Leachman is the actress's name. Very well known TV actress. She could do a lot. She's kind of wasted, literally wasted, is in this comatose state. Where she can't really do much.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it was mildly entertaining when Cindy was bathing her in pee, and then it's revealed that Cloris Leachman is actually aware and grossed out by all this. But like you said, it didn't go anywhere. It's a waste, and a good writer would get a lot more use out of her. At least Leslie Nielsen had something to do with the plot, moving forward. You can make a case that he was, not he was misused as well, but not to the level that Cloris Leachman was misused.
Yeah, he tried his best, but you can only work with what you're given.
Yeah,
and he wasn't given much, so
Yeah, I agree.
I felt like having him. They should have parodied Mars Attacks instead of War of the Worlds.
that's where I thought they were going. I'm fun.
It would have made more sense.
Yeah, I thought for sure that's where they were going, especially when they had the laser, taking off the people's clothes. Very similar story beat to what happened in the, oh, they killed Congress. The old lady.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a waste.
But they didn't. So it just feels like all these half-cocked ideas and not followed through.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is it? This is another thing, because I know they're copying like beat for beat War of the Worlds, the whole father-son thing, but the Tom with let's go through this, let's through that. A joke that just went on too long. And obviously now we don't have Cody again. Cindy's getting bopped. But then they replaced Cindy for the girl. She started getting beaten up, bopped, but it just didn't last. Once again, they're all over the place. Like the first two movies, it was always Cindy getting the absolute melt knocked out of her. And that was fair enough. That was their gag. But then they removed that for part 3. And then they brought it back partially for part 4, and then they switched it over to the wee girl. It's like it's all over the place.
Yeah, and I think it worked for some reason with Cody, because he's a little bit older, and he wants so badly to have a good father figure that he's willing to overlook the fact that they forget about him and they drive away from him and they throw him out the 3rd-story window. And there's something funny to that, how he constantly, keeps coming back and trying to latch on to these father figures. That dynamic wasn't there with the little girl. It just was a father like, not taking care of his kid, which is, I don't know, just not as funny a story.
It just just half an idea there, and not followed. I think we're going to say the same thing for each of these scenes. Just no follow through. Just everything goes up in the air and doesn't come back down again.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Ah, dear. And then now this was a funny. I have this the tripods landing. That was actually quite funny.
Yeah.
No way, that was a joke. Just poof, down it comes. The things. That was a thing of its time. Sorry, kids, if you're watching. These were the devices we used to have back in the day.
The iPods.
Yeah. That's great.
But the way it flicked the world domination, it's just or world annihilation, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yeah. What was the first song? It was something very genteel.
yeah. And everyone
first
started
song.
dancing.
Yeah.
Party hits.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then of course we go back to Leslie Nielsen's character. That was so Police Academy or Police Squad. We're all waiting to find out what happened to the duck.
Yeah.
See, his scenes worked for me. I just wanted them to tie into the main storyline a little bit, and just wanted more, I guess. But he's great. I thought compared to some of the other actors and actresses in this, he was the only one that had the comedic chops to make some of those lines work. I did laugh whenever he was on screen.
But he's a veteran, you know what I mean? Or he was a veteran, you know what I mean? This
Yeah.
would have been a strolling apart for him. Like, he could dial it in, but still make it work. But he can't carry an entire movie.
No.
But even around him, like the whole thing with the spit in the milk, like that would have worked once, but then it just kept going and going and going. So they ruined the joke. You know what I mean? Him
Yeah.
spitting out and then the kid spitting out after him, that would have worked. That's the gag. But then it just kept, like, just never ended.
Or even when they're all naked later, they repeated it. They left on. Yeah, they put too much of that in. Yeah.
Yeah, it just
Yeah, that's fair.
kills their own jokes.
Yeah.
Uh,
Luna, what'd you think of the Leslie Nielsen scenes?
The most notable thing was when they were having the press conference and let me turn this device on, and then all his clothes comes up and like, I don't know if it's working, and then he bends over and everybody's like, ah! And everybody starts puking, and I thought that was probably the best scene in the whole movie.
Yeah. See, I agree. And you mentioned this, Colin, in some of the previous movies. The one thing that these movies have all consistently had is that the actors that participate are willing to make fun of themselves or put themselves in a compromising position. I mean, this is a well-regarded, well-esteemed actor in his 70s probably at this point, and he's willing to appear naked in not the best shape. You know what I mean? And really go for it. So credit to him, and that has been consistent throughout all four.
Yeah, and that's what you need. That's what this sort of franchise needs. But when you're seeing the people who aren't committing, like Mahalik and CJ, they're just one-note actors.
Yeah.
That's it. That's their entire characters the whole way through. Everything they've ever done in their careers and will do. That's just what they are. That guy that plays Tom is one note. They're not committing. You just feel like they're just going through the motions. And that's the bit that's missing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can feel it. Like, you just feel like, once again, it's the vibe. You just can't write that in. You can't do it for a percentage. You can't pay extra. You can't pay less. You either have the winning formula or you don't. And if you've got the winning formula, you don't mess with it. You don't go in and poke at it with sticks.
Yeah, that's true.
It's so obvious they've done here. They went, mate, let's shave a bit off, let's do that. And yeah, then you know yourself, if you've ever been in a job and you just don't care because you don't feel like you feel like you're just there for them to get as much out of you as possible. We've all been in that type of job in our life. And yeah, there's not a good atmosphere. You're not prepared to do that bit extra. You'll do what you need to do, and then that's it. You switch off. If the place fails, you don't care because it'd be like, well, that gives me an excuse to get a new job. It's
Yeah.
that's what this feels like. This feels like everyone's here doing a job and they're not really enjoying it. And this sort of franchise, that's not what it was built on.
Right.
Yeah. It definitely shows in their performance. But I will say, other than that scene where he's bending over, another scene that I've seen many times on social media where with Cindy and the ghost were like speaking Japanese. It's like
Oh yes,
Benihana, I was like
Yamaha,
Yamaha,
teriyaki.
Toyota, teriyaki.
I like it. The little boy's like, "Your Japanese is such a disgrace. It dishonors me."
It
so
dishonors my ears.
Oh yeah, it dishonors me.
That
But
was
you
a good
understood him.
scene.
It's funny. Yeah. Scenes like that was just the right length, but then it's one little clip in an entire movie of everything else just dragging out.
Yeah.
Like that's the pace we're looking for. Just enough. It's funny. Takes you a second to twig on, and then you get the joke. You're like, haha, and then it's done. It's landed.
Yeah.
If that was the pace of the entire movie, it would have been just as great as the
Great,
rest.
better, yeah.
But it's almost like they don't have any ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I suppose that's what happened. You change the writing team partway through a project. You aren't familiar with the
Yeah.
franchise.
Yeah.
Terrible choice.
Silly, silly, silly.
But I do agree, if that scene with the Cindy and the ghost speaking Japanese, if that would have been a couple beats longer, it would have been like, oh my god, we get it. So it was the perfect length, and they should have kept, the other beats to like similar pacing. So it didn't feel dragged on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the pace that this movie needed, and it didn't get
Yeah.
a through storyline. Even like a weak payoff. Tom gives Cindy a solenoid for luck. He won't take her in his car, but then he'll go and pick up a random person. And
Yeah.
I didn't get where that joke was going.
And here again, so the writers wanted to have Cindy and Brenda separate. All right. So that's the idea there. So they're like, okay, so for half the movie, we need them separated from Tom and then have them reconnect, and that's an important story beat. So that if that's the idea, come up with an interesting way or a way that makes sense as to why they had to separate. Like you said, he could have just taken her in the car. It's not like she was trying to get to Cody because Cody was at military school. It didn't make any sense why she couldn't go with him. They were very lazy. Some of these minor plot points add up in your mind as you're watching it to this just feeling disconnected from the story. And it's a spoof. You don't need like a brilliant plot point. You don't need the Coen brothers, but it has to make some logical sense. Otherwise, it distracts you. It takes you out of the suspended disbelief.
It's like trying to go along and you're hitting speed bumps, and you feel that bump. Or you go on the hard shoulder and you get, it's you're not driving along smoothly. You've no thread to follow, and it just, oh, right, I'm out of it again. I'm out of it again. I'm out of it again. Yeah. And once again, to bring in these disposable new characters that only last a scene or two and don't have any bearing on the movie, like that whole thing, right? So it gives Cindy the solenoid for a later gag, and then he goes to pick up what's his face, and then that whole thing with the door. Once again, that went on too long.
Yeah, it did.
And then for what? For his friend to then get wiped out. A whole scene with a disposable character just to fill up time. Yeah. At this point, I'm struggling in the movie. I'll not lie.
I was struggling with there as well. I was like, Can one of you just fucking stop touching the door handle? I was getting frustrated. I wasn't laughing at that point. I was just like,
Yeah.
somebody needs to do something so they can progress the story.
Yeah, it just felt like it's padding out, just fill a scene and holding up. Like, come on, let's just get moving here because I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm a big comedy fan, and I listen to certain podcasts, and I listen to certain comedians talk. A comedian will have a great joke, but they'll spend hours or days trying to get the phrasing down as short as possible, where it still has all of the necessary elements. But if they could shave a word off of a small paragraph, and that sometimes makes all the difference. It's so much about timing and getting to the joke as quick as possible. So, the whole part with the door handle just going on too long, if they could just shorten that by about 10 seconds, it works infinitely better. It's so much about timing, and shorter is usually better with comedy.
Yeah, like I said, back to the Japanese thing. I was like, that's the pace. There's the pace that we needed, but the rest of the movie doesn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Overextended jokes
Oh
and
yeah.
goes against it. And then, yeah, it's these just popping from scene to scene just for the sake of it. And there's not really. I just didn't feel that with the first three. I didn't
Right.
feel like they
Yeah.
were doing that. I felt like the scenes were just going from one to the other and it was logical. And even we had scenes with other characters, not Cindy, and they carried it. Where I feel like these guys are just, it's like, oh, got to fill time to get Cindy back in again.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Does anybody else get? I'm starting to think that's the thing. Obviously they're relying on Cindy as the main character, but they're having to pad out because they don't have a strong enough supporting cast to carry scenes on their own. So unless
Yeah.
Cindy's in it, it's nothing's happening, and yeah, it's kind of sad.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Um,
previous movie had Charlie Sheen for the scenes that Cindy wasn't in, and he did great.
mhm.
This doesn't have that. So you're right. When Cindy's not in it, except for the Leslie Nielsen part, and for me, the Bill Pullman part later on I liked him too. But outside of those two exceptions to the rule,
There was a missing chance as well. There's a missed
What's that?
opportunity.
Oh yes, yeah.
Why would you have Bill Pullman in this movie and not make an Independence Day reference?
Right, you already got the aliens. Yeah,
Like
Mm-hmm.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
You've got the two. The lead's just not long enough to connect. Plug it in, get the Christmas tree lights on. Bzz, what the hell?
yeah. It's just bad writing. I feel like bad writing is we have this idea in mind, and then they see the cast, and they're like, "Oh, we didn't have Ray, we didn't have Shorty, but we'll still make it work." As opposed to the opposite approach would be, okay, Bill Pullman just came on. We don't have anything that really applies to him. We were just going to stick him into the village bit. And it's like, no, wait a sec. We have Bill Pullman. Let's write a whole new scene about Independence Day. That's good writers. Good writers, adjust to the cast as things change. They don't try to pigeonhole, put a square peg in a round hole.
Some random bit of information that I still forgot how it fucking tied together to anything. Well, the whole point to bring him was to give his Independence Day speech to go and take out the tripods. You know what I mean? Fuck off.
Yeah.
And we get Brenda comes back. And I was like, yes, a familiar face. And then they start changing her character. Like the whole bit with the solenoid, it was a good gag actually. Instead of plugging it into the van, yeah, she throws it and gets the car. That actually worked. But then they change her character, and I'm just like, this isn't Brenda.
I feel like I've been talking too much. Luna, what do you think about Brenda in this movie?
She was very in 1, 2, and 3. She was kind of a novice with the sex stuff because Ray was like trying to teach her and show her, and she seemed more like she was a beginner at it. She wasn't really too familiar, but was willing to learn with Ray and do stuff. In this one, she just seemed like she unlocked the succubus
Chat.
level or something and just became like a sex fiend. And I'm like, what happened to the other Brenda that was like very naive and but still willing to learn? She wasn't by any means like not willing to do any of that stuff with Ray. She just didn't know. So it just seemed like they made her like a sex crazed maniac, and she was more than that in 1, 2, or in 3. She had a personality. So I didn't super like the way they wrote her there, because I'm like, okay, that really isn't her character, but okay.
And that's part of the thing, is that continuity, having that continuity between the movies is what we've enjoyed as well, having the same cast, the same characters come back, the same
Yeah.
even dynamics. Like Brenda
Yeah.
and Ray have always been together,
Mm-hmm.
but then they remove that.
And
she didn't do that in part 3. She was still Brenda in part 3.
Yeah, she wasn't
Even though
like
Ray wasn't in it, but she was still Brenda, and they didn't make her.
yeah, this different person that she's not. Even Cindy, they kind of changed her a lot too, because she wasn't like the same ditzy, girl from 1 and 2. She was kind of a little bit more like dull. That's possible.
And let's not forget that Brenda died in the third one. So,
She died the first one as well.
She died in the first one as well, but she really died. She really died in the third one. I mean, there were bits of her being thrown around. So, it didn't seem real for her to just appear as she did. And if it's not real, then something more is going on. And I have a theory about this.
Ooh.
How could something more be going on? That doesn't make sense. There's nothing good on this movie.
Well, there's a lot about this movie that doesn't make sense, but I'm going to try to make sense of it.
Are you going to try and make it make sense?
Yes. Try and fail, but it's going to be a spectacular failure.
Fantastic, then. Let's do it.
It's a theory. It's a Chris. It's a theory. Chris. Chris's crazy theory.
Unleash the hidden plot that does not exist in this movie.
What if there was actually a genius secret plot behind all of this?
We just missed it.
And we just missed it. Probably not, but let's just go with that. So I think there is a lot going on that the first time I watched this, I didn't quite get. I just thought something was off. Something didn't seem real. Brenda was a great example of that. But if we start even a little bit earlier, where we have Cindy first appearing to Charlie Sheen's character, and if we go to slide 1, thank you, sir. So, she says now that Cody's out of the house. And I started thinking about that because her reason is he just turned 11. So she enrolled him in military school last year. So not even 11, he was 10. So I don't know about you, how they do it in your country, Colin, but in this country, you can enroll him in military school at 10. So this is an abject lie. And I started to think about, why would she lie about this unless she's trying to hide something either consciously or subconsciously? Maybe Cody was taken away from her. So I started to think more about that. And, she has some bad, memories that she's trying to get rid of. And this is the same line of dialogue, but I want to focus on the look. She's clearly someone who's gone through some trauma, and we see some of it later on, but I think there's a lot more that they haven't let on about the trauma that she's going through and kind of her psychosis and her mental well-being or lack of as the movie progresses. So let me just move this a little bit. Yeah, in the end, she's still in agony. So very sad, actually, what's actually going on in Cindy's mind. And we saw a little bit of it later on, but right after she says that, now she has this this father-in-law figure, jump off the balcony to his demise. So this isn't going to help her mental well-being. If anything, this could make her snap. And I think she did snap. And I have more evidence why. So she says, yes, for the first time in my life, I'm on my own. And that's because Cody, I think, was taken away from her. And her husband died. And now her father-in-law died. So she is alone. And this clearly is an example of her mental well-being. This image. And that entire scene, we get a picture as to, how is Cindy doing right now?
This
and the
feels
answer
like
is not
a
well.
rehash of the car crash scene.
No, not good.
Yeah,
It's like the redid the car crash scene with Charlie Sheen, as the wife's accident, and they've just done it again, but this.
yes, there's definitely a lot of copy and paste from the previous movie, but it does exemplify her mental well-being or lack thereof at this moment. And I'm worried about Cindy, and I have more reason to worry. So she tells the story about how her first marriage, and clearly this does not have the ring of truth to it. So this is more lies, but it's lies that she clearly believes, which is the worst kind of lies, because that is a sign of psychosis, right? She's trying to create these stories to block previous trauma from her life. This here was clearly made up as well. I mean, she clearly does not have the physique to have won. I think she said she won 20 fights to get to the championship round and then went on to fight a female Mike Tyson. I mean, none of this has the ring of truth, my friends. This is all in her mind. I do think this is all made up to mask what happened to her husband. I think her husband did die. I think she was the cause of it. Not that she intentionally murdered him, but there was some accident, something that she did wrong. And I have some proof that she blames herself. So she says, I blame myself. I mean, there you go. What more?
There you go. That's
right on cue. It's almost like I planned these slides. But she says, I blame myself for it. Now, this guy, Tom Ryan, I think his name was, he is, into her. He just met her. You think his response to that would be, oh, no, don't worry about it. I'm sure it wasn't your fault. What does he say to this? He says, as well, you should blame yourself. So she was a famous news reporter. She was famous after the alien incident from the previous movie. I imagine that the case of her husband dying, however it happened, and I think she lied about her being a prized fighter, I think that this was in the news. I think he's familiar with the case, and he's saying, yes, as well you should. So she did do something wrong. He does blame her, as does a lot of society. The fact that she's not in jail, maybe it was considered to be. They couldn't prove it, but she blames herself, and he clearly does too. So I think she was culpable for the husband's death, and that is why Cody got taken away from her and why she kind of snapped. So she starts kissing him, and that's when the aliens come. And she even says before this, she says, I'm not meant to be happy. I think from this moment forward, this is all in her head because she blames herself. She doesn't feel she deserves happiness after her husband's accident. And that's why the exact moment that she is happy for a minute and kisses the guy, that's when the wind and the aliens come.
Do you think maybe she's not happy because she read the script and realized she's contractually obliged to be in this movie?
Well, that could also be a contributing factor. But here an example that we were talking about. So he says, I know the secret of the aliens. Now, if you remember, they got separated. At this point, all she's seen is lightning from clouds, and then they got separated, and she goes right to the house. So if he says, I know the secret of defeating these aliens, her correct response would be, what aliens? What are you talking about? Instead, she says, my God, tell me. Because she knows about the aliens, because again, this is all made up in her mind. In fact, the fact that she knows fluent Japanese is another example that this is all made up in her kooky brain. And I'm not one to talk wearing this thing. but she is definitely got some issues going on. So later, this is not a great image, but she gets hit in the head. Again, an allusion to an allegory to the fact that her brain is having trauma, and that's what's creating these images. What happens immediately after she gets hit in the head? Her friend shows up, her deceased friend, Brenda. And she says, I thought you were dead. What would be surely there's going to be some explanation for this, right? I mean, the writers, the story. What is the answer to this question? I thought you were dead. She says, oh yeah, this is just a reminder for people who haven't seen 3. She was very dead. There were pieces of her being thrown about. Her head was getting thrown about. This is not one of those cases where she was, in a coma somehow. She was very dead. And yet here she is because she's not real. I think she's a figment of Cindy's imagination. Her example or her response, her rebuttal as to the question, which is an important question, I thought you were dead. Oh, I thought you were dead too. That's what the writers came up with. I thought you were dead too. That's not an explanation. That is not an explanation. Brenda was clearly dead, yet here she is because she's not. This is all in Cindy's troubled mind. So I did some research on this to see if I'm maybe off base on my theory. And I read up Imaginary Friends and the People Who Create Them, 2nd edition. I didn't want to bother with the 1st edition.
Oh, nobody wants to bother with the 1st edition.
No, that was schlock, as you guys say. So no, it was written by Marjorie Taylor and Naomi Aguiar. And given the subject matter, I'm guessing only one of them is real. This is probably just one person. But so I read about that. And people who go through intense trauma, PTSD, they often, especially people who are alone, they create these imaginary figures because they need someone to share in the trauma with them and kind of a disbursement of trauma. And I think Brenda is an example.
Like us watching this movie.
Well, I hope you guys are real. Oh my gosh, that was.
Are we really live right now?
Is that the real theory? Is that the real theory that I've been speaking to?
My computer's actually switched off. I'm just sitting here at 3 o'clock in the morning.
But she says, here's a great example of why I think Brenda's not real. She says, I'm a reporter now. I work for the local news, Brenda. Whose job was that in the past movies? Cindy's. Cindy is the reporter. Brenda is only the reporter because she's a manifestation of Cindy's brain. Cindy was the reporter. Brenda never had any inkling to take that type of job, and she didn't because sadly she passed away. And this is her as a figment of Cindy's imagination. Oh yeah, here's just an example as a reminder for the audience. Cindy was the news reporter. So look, cinema history has a lot of examples of imaginary friends going back to the 1950s with James Stewart and Harvey. Fight Club, spoiler alert, sorry. Should have warned you people. But, imagine. I'm
sorry, but if you haven't figured out the Tyler Durden storyline after, 30 years?
I gave you a 30-year head start.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know what to tell you.
So we got Harvey. We got Fight Club, and of course the best, one of the top 3 movies of all time, Drop Dead Fred. So there's a lot of examples of imaginary figures in movies. So this is not original, but it is definitely what I think is happening here. Another example, in case you have your doubts, and I could see that Luna believes me, but I think her duck doesn't believe me. So this is for you, Duck, the yellow duck in front, because I see him nodding his head in disagreement, and I'm here to prove. He is my new target audience. If I can convince the duck, I can convince anyone. So they're both falling asleep, right? You can see from the look in their face. What does Cindy do to wake herself up? She pours hot coffee on her head. And the instant she pours hot coffee on her head without making a sound, Brenda wakes up because she's a part of her head. And she says, my lovely lady lump. So she's woken up because of the hot coffee going on Cindy's head. Just as another example that the director is trying to tell you that maybe, Cindy's not all there, that's just one image that kind of says it. And basically the director often will try to hint at something visually, give a visual cue when there's a theme that's being missed. So throughout the whole movie, the way they decide to end it is they decide to end it with a scene of a person being absolutely crazy. Now it was spoofing Tom Cruise and Oprah, but
Oh
still,
yes,
if that's
Oh,
what
right.
the
Just I was going to get you to explain that one to me because that one went right over my head.
the yellow
Yeah.
couch.
Yeah, exactly. So if that's what the director chooses as his final shot, this image, this tells me that there is an element, a theme of mental, disturbance of craziness, for lack of a better term. And that is what's been going on with Cindy this entire movie that most people missed. So I'm afraid for our fans of Cindy out there, the truth, and there's no other way, as a scientist, there's no other way to look at the facts and not come up with this conclusion. But Cindy, this Cindy Lou Who has gone fucking cuckoo. Her deceased friend Brenda was conjured up in her troubled mind to help her deal with her trauma and guilt. And it's been right under our noses this whole movie.
It'd be nice if the movie had have maybe explained that, but sure. Well,
That's what I'm here for.
yeah, glad you're here, but they should employ you.
Yeah, Miramax should employ you definitely.
You've put more effort in than the writing team did.
Oh yes.
All right, then. There you go, folks.
It's a theory. It's a Chris. It's a theory. Chrissy Chris. Chrissy Chris. Chris's crazy theory.
Yeah, definitely more effort there than the writing team because everything's just up in the air, all these plot things and nothing.
That annoyed me when I saw it and they just said, I thought you were dead. I thought you were dead too. No, that's not an explanation. You give me something,
Yeah, anything would have worked.
Why not an extra like a ray gun from a ship goes down, Brenda materializes, room materializes, or shoot something, and just.
I'd be fine with that.
When you think of the money they've spent, like the crane set, that wouldn't have been cheap.
No.
Why do we need that? Why not put that money into bringing Brenda back from the dead? Why couldn't the ghost? Why couldn't the Toshio bring Brenda back from the dead?
Yeah.
I'll get you some help. I know how to defeat the aliens, but I can't leave this house. Poof. Brenda
Here's your
appears.
friend. Yeah.
I would have bought into it. Yeah.
There are 100 ways. We could probably riff and come up with like 4 different better scripts to tie this movie together just live on YouTube. You know what I mean? And I don't know. And I hate it when I know I can do better because I'm not a fantastic writer. I play at it, but I know I could do better than this. And it annoys me that people are so-called professionals and get paid a lot of money and do a terrible job. And it just irritates me when you think of people having to knock their pan in. Maybe it's a working class thing, but when I know people have to knock their pan in for nothing, and then you see people just dialing it in and getting, living very comfortably with minimum effort, upsets me because I don't think it's fair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's my social justice, and justice of the world. It's like,
no, it's fair.
Earn it,
Yeah, 100%. And I'm one of those people that I easily buy into any premise. I've seen movies about, dragons, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And, aliens and just the weirdest stuff going on. I'll buy into it, but you just got to put the effort and give me an explanation. And then I easily have suspended disbelief. I'm a child, as it turns out. But when they don't even give you a plot point, when they don't even give you an explanation, it's a little insulting. Like you didn't put the effort of coming up with something, So
this is the best your hand-picked team
of
writers could come up with.
Right. Yeah.
I thought you were dead.
Like like yourself, Luna. We interview indie creators,
Yeah.
And we see people pull things on a shoestring together, like, and being inventive right at the last minute to get a movie out, get a
Yes.
story. You know what I mean? We've talked to those people and the things they've had to do, and everybody has to be on board, and they've called in family and friends, everything to get this vision across.
Mm.
And they're sweating, you know what I mean? They're blood and tears, limited sleep, and that. And then you see this, and you know
Mm.
they've sat in a comfortable office, they've grifted, and it
Yeah.
shows, and it annoys me.
Yeah. I think the part that gets me is that you do this for a living. The least you can do is put just a little bit of effort. It's going to go a long way. Um the fact that they just said, "Oh, I thought you were dead. Oh, I thought you were dead." Like that is just so lazy and appalling. Especially as a movie lover, you couldn't have tried anything. I mean, at least we would appreciate something.
Exactly.
Anything at this point would have been better than, "Oh, you're dead. Oh, you're dead." Like, no, no, give us something with your, creative juices. And if you can't be creative, maybe this isn't the right job for you. Plain and simple.
Hmm. Or they're in the wrong, you know what I mean? They're a certain type of writer, and this isn't their field, so don't do it.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
exactly.
scary movies being a specific creative, vision, you have to be in a certain mindset. You have to, like, even the actors, you have to let go. The only way this works is to let go and be self-depreciated,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's not happening. Um, why is Malik and CJ still in this movie? Like, they come out of the sewers, they go into this, like, fake zombie apocalypse, and then what happened to them? They just ended up something I can't even remember now.
Yeah, I think
Survivors that wounded, they thought they were zombies because they were talking about zombies in the start, but even that didn't. Why were they still in this movie at this point?
I don't know. And I guess just to show that Malik was gonna, end his grandma. "Oh, I can't believe they took my grandma." And then it's like it was slightly funny, but at the same time not super. I don't know what you guys thought about that scene. I think it was not great.
Another one that
Yeah,
took far too long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It took too long to do it.
yeah. The pacing of that was off. It was too long, and also for the previous movie, they were friends with Tom. That was the tie-in with the whole Eminem aspect.
Hmm.
So the
Mhm.
fact that he's deceased and they're still around, and they don't even have a lot of scenes with Cindy, which I guess they could have a tenuous connection to because they were married to their friend, but they really weren't in scenes with her that much. So
Mhm.
it didn't make sense that they were there. Yeah,
And once again, there's
yeah,
budget spent on a whole scene and extras that could have been used for something more useful.
Oh
yeah,
yeah. Mhm.
And once again, the shooting, that's a bit in War of the Worlds where they get the car nicked. I mean,
right.
that's a direct rip off of that scene. They just copied and pasted it because just to remind you, they're doing War of the Worlds.
Oh gosh. Lazy writing once again.
Yeah. Then we'll have the whole thing, Brenda and Cindy break into the village because they're going to find the answer. And I felt like it could have went somewhere, especially like we said, when you see Bill Pullman as the village leader, then
Mhm.
there it was. There's, as we said, there's the whole thread. Bring him back
Independence,
out. Independence
independence.
Day, launch stuff up to he finds a way to take out the Triffids,
Yeah.
and, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, not the Triffids, the tripods.
Yeah,
But there's no something they could have done Day of the Triffids as well. It would have been fun. Um,
Mhm.
But yeah, uh, I just found this whole it was a lot of build up for nothing.
Hmm.
And what's his face is back in with another overdoing his jokes. Same guy that you said him, the guy that played with the butler.
Chris Elliott with
Yeah,
the hand thing. Chris Elliott,
yeah.
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 What,
Yeah.
he might have had like 2 lines, right? He really wasn't.
He was playing the character in the village, the simple one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He was playing him, trying to make him funny. But once again, why?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It was a waste because Bill Pullman's great. I loved his speech. Uh, Everything about his scene was great. I just wanted more of him.
But there's
Yeah.
Ollie in
Yeah.
this. You know, he plays the blind girl, who's major
Carmen
thing in the
Electra.
plot. Yeah, but why didn't they bring back the actress that played Brandy
Hmm.
and have her? You know what I mean? That would have been perfect for her
Yeah.
instead of once again another new character. Like they're not using. There's the familiarity with the Scary Movie franchise. If you can agree or disagree, but it's the returning cast from the previous movies in different roles.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree with the fact that Bill Pullman wasn't utilized properly with his range. I mean, we saw him in things like Independence Day, but also he was in The Grudge. If you remember, he was in The Grudge, and since this movie was trying to spoof The Grudge, right? We could have.
Here's the thing, because what's her face, the original Japanese Ayun is fantastic. And then you
Yes.
have this watered down version with Sarah Michelle Gellar just sleepwalking through the movie. It's like, no.
Yeah.
I try to forget that movie, and I've never bothered with the sequels.
Oh goodness. Yeah.
Um,
But they underutilized Bill Pullman though. They could have done so much more.
yeah, it just went nowhere.
Yeah, I agree.
The redo the Michael Jackson joke.
Yeah, anytime there's a repetition of a joke, it never is as funny the second time, and it's almost insulting your audience.
Mm-hmm.
You know, unless they felt like, oh, maybe someone will see this movie who hadn't seen the third one. But anytime you're making a fourth movie, you kind of have to assume that people are seeing it because they've seen the first three. Very
That's
few
your
people.
demographic. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very few people are like, I'm going to jump in and start with 4. And then I'll watch it,
no.
you know?
the only people they are the ones that have been dragged along by their partners.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? That's the only person that goes to see a movie in a franchise because their partners have dragged them along the movie. But
Yeah.
if
And
if they're that much of a fan, they'll have sat them down over 3 weeks and made them watch the other ones first, so they know what
They know what's going on. Yeah.
That's a proper relationship. You know what I mean? Yes, we're going to
Yeah.
the cinema on this day because it's the release. So you're going to sit down with me all weekend and we're watching all these. So you're fully jammed up
Caught
and don't ask
up.
me questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
That's
sure there
awesome.
are a small percentage of people that are seeing this as the first one, but
Oh, excuse me.
the vast majority of your audience has seen the previous one. So if when you repeat a joke that was just in the last one, I feel like your audience deserves better, you know? Like you can't come up with something new, you know? I don't know.
I think we've all got we've all got the same frustration. It's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I get it. Like the Weinsteins really hated Michael Jackson, if you know, you know. So he became the scapegoat of like everything. Because it's like, look over here, and sleight of hands are doing all their trickery over here, but they want you to focus on hating this individual so they can do all their nefarious shit over here. So I feel like
would that be virtue signaling? Would that be a form of virtue signaling?
Yeah.
Look at that bad person.
Look at Michael Jackson doing all these things, and there they are in the background. Also messing around with children.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, it's the same story throughout.
but let's pick a scapegoat that everybody's gonna believe, and but it's not a funny joke to me. It wasn't that funny. It's like, okay, ha ha ha, yeah, but it's kind of like one and done.
Mhm.
We don't need to know again that you hate Michael Jackson and again, because they're not doing it like the other scenes where they're the naked scene, right? It's funny, it's got great pacing, and the actor was like fully aware of what's going on. The Michael Jackson jokes just seem more malicious.
Sniping or bitchy or
It's
I just
more like
even in the third one, like,
mhm,
but it was like right in your face. Like, where the hell's this coming from? And then you would
yeah,
have to go and look for the specific news article of the day, and that's where this doesn't work. If you have to go for like current day of that was in the news cycle that week, that's whenever they wrote this. That
Right.
doesn't
mhm,
work. Pop culture, references, they need to be eternal. They need to be something that's in the zeitgeist.
yeah, relevant.
Yeah.
You don't need like a date and time and who did what, and
Yep.
yeah. But I
The
just feel
Budweiser
like
ads in the first one,
mhm.
even if you've never seen the Budweiser ad, it became a cultural phenomenon. It outgrew the ad, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. You know what I mean? It became bigger than the
Definitely.
thing that it was doing, and that was organic. You can't want to see that's something you can't manufacture. It just happened. It landed at lightning in a bottle, so they're able to tap into that. The basketball one, that was more specific, so that didn't land. You know what I mean? That was them trying to do the same thing, but it didn't land because definitely not over this side of the pond. That was like what's
Right.
happening here?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Definitely.
But yeah, the Michael Jackson thing, it was obviously a big for a particular reason, but it just didn't work.
Yeah. I feel like this movie had a lot more
Mm.
dated references like that than the previous ones. Like Brenda had a bunch of references to like R. Kelly peeing and just a lot of stuff that I forgot and may not have even been aware in the first place. Like there was, I don't know. I just felt like
Yeah.
this had a lot of specific things that might have been relevant for that 1 year that the movie came out, but watching it years later, it doesn't hold up as well. The references don't hold up as well as the
Yeah.
previous movies.
And you have to go back and think, oh, was that when R. Kelly was going on trial for the peeing on minors incident, or what's going on? Like, you had to really think about like
Yeah,
time, and that kind of doesn't help with the suspension of disbelief. Not that this movie did a
Oh, you're
great
frozen up
job
a bit.
keeping not that this movie did a great job keeping your attention, like, very much, but yet it's another thing that distracts you from the movie. Now you have to go back and think, what was going on in 2005, 2006 when this movie came out that, you know, like, was that the thing that was going on? Like, it just
yeah,
kind of, if it would have been if you watched it the day it came out, it probably these references would be more fresh in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
But
right.
now 20 years later, we're kind of going, huh? Did that happen that year?
Get the archives out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's like,
need a cheat sheet, right? Or crib notes.
But that's the mistake current movies are making. A lot of movies
mhm,
today are being made in current time, using current references, with very short sighted because 2 years. You know what I mean? News moves that fast. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Two years, it's already out of date. Like a week, if you miss, like even when I'm covering news articles, like if it's more than 3 days old, it's done. You know what I mean? It's old news,
yeah,
and that's for a
yeah,
podcast. So they actually put culture references in a movie that need to be evergreen. They need to be like not specific things at the moment because that's forgotten about. You know what I mean? And
yeah. They need to be
yeah,
timeless references.
mhm. And that's a massive mistake to make. That's why movies aren't as enjoyable today, because even by the time they've made the movie with the references, by the time the movie comes out, it's a year later. So the references, the views have already dated. You know what I mean? That's what
Yeah,
you
they have to be careful how they make these jokes and what they reference.
yeah, and yeah, that stuff's just like nah. The tie-in that Cindy caused Toshio's death was so ham-fisted. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know what they're trying to do with that.
Yeah, and the whole idea that he was trying that he's why would that ghost know how to defeat aliens? And the fact that he was trying to give that message to her, the whole nothing connected. And as the movie came together, it was like really, really a bit of a letdown. You know,
Mm-hmm.
not that you expect. Like I said, you don't expect the Coen brothers with these scary movies, but just give us a shred of.
But the other three did it.
Yeah, the other three did it.
The other three did it, so
Exactly.
why couldn't this one?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
So the other three managed to give us what we wanted,
Yep.
and we enjoyed them. Like, yeah, we had our grumbles, this bit and that, but you're cherry picking. But on the whole, enjoyed ourselves. This felt like work. This felt like I was having to work to follow it.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, yes.
And I'm a lazy big shit. I don't want to work. Why? What's think I'm a podcaster? Do you know what I mean? If I wanted to like do real work, I wouldn't do this.
I mean, maybe we've set the bar, Colin. Me and you have set the bar very low with some of our critters in Sharknado. I do want to stipulate. I still did enjoy the movie. I know we're bashing it and we're picking it apart, and justifiably so. I still did laugh. An example, and maybe just because I'm a 5-year-old in my head, where Carmen Electra's the blind character goes in what she thinks is her home and goes to the bathroom. I'm sorry.
That was a good joke. That was.
I did laugh a lot at that. More than I should have as a grown adult. And she's like, I'm not in my home, am I? They're like, no.
The part that gets me about that, right? She pulls off her clothes and she's like in this like
Lingerie.
whole full on lingerie set. She's blind. So who helped her put it on?
I didn't think about that. That's true.
Because that stuff is not easy to put on, trust me.
Maybe they
yeah.
told her it was something, casual, and they didn't realize, she didn't realize. Yeah. I didn't think about that.
But yeah, as a girl, I immediately thought about that. I was like, whoa, who put her in that? How did she, and it looked so good too. It's not all mismatched, and it was really good fitting and everything. I'm like, good job, blind person.
Fair enough. I think that's one of the suspend disbelief. You're just meant to go with it.
Right.
But like I said, it's just they're little moments in a generally just disjointed. Like, I got what they're doing, you know what I mean, because they're having the characters going about in the village, but this, once again, there's no payoff.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
We needed a payoff. Why go through all this? See, the amount of money they've done creating the set and the storyline, but it really didn't. It just went back to the beginning, or that scene in the boxing ring again, which didn't really make sense and didn't add anything, just to write out a character.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't they just write him out and have them together, and then it tragically happened? I don't know. I'm having a hard time with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we get, how many times does that pervy tripod, the one that humps the vacuum cleaner and stuff, grabs little Rachel? Like, he grabs her about 3 times. Like, they recycled that scene of her getting wrapped around the tentacle and up the thing about 3 times.
Right. And then a smaller one goes into the higher section, and the smaller one goes into the yeah.
Gosh.
This lazy writing. That's all I could write.
Yeah, it just felt like padding, and okay, we've got this effect set up. Let's do it again, just to fill up time.
Yeah. Another one that was kind of like, huh? Was when they're hiding in the little, was it like the little, I don't know what it's called, the basement things.
Mm.
And then Carmen Electra's character's like, yeah, you can come over here. And the other people's like, no, over here. She was hiding in the cesspool where, you know, all the sewage, all the
Yep.
poop water goes to. And I'm like, you're blind, but your olfactory should still be working. Your sniffer should still be working. So you don't realize that it smells like poop.
Mm.
I don't know. That one was a weird one to me. I'm like, she's blind, not, you know, sniffless.
Right.
That was
That's
a
a
weird
good
one for
point.
me.
Yeah. No, but that's once again, it's lazy writing. It's the jokes. They're just, oh, that's a joke. You know, pop it in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just no thought.
Right. And if you think about it, when you're blind, your other senses are amplified to make up for the fact that you're blind. So your hearing, if you're blind, would be better. Your sniffers would be better. Your taste would be better. Stuff like that. So she should definitely been able to tell she was in the cesspool.
Yeah, but it's just
Lazy,
Yep.
lazy writing.
Yeah.
Lazy.
Mhm. And then we get the Saw 2 scene. To me, if they're going to do Saw 2, right, or anything to do with Saw, don't bother with the first one. Like, they're doing two references to the same franchise. Like there was no...
Yeah, pick one.
Like, we still don't know why Shaq and Dr. Phil were in the... What was the purpose of them being captured? Like, no lead up, apart from just to do a parody of a franchise. So they could have cut that out entirely.
Yeah.
Or use it again for this.
I think Shaq and Dr. Phil were, again, lazy writing. Dr. Phil and Shaq were relevant in 2005 when this movie was probably being made. So they just decided to use them because, you know, they'd be relevant for the time.
Yeah.
I will say I did laugh when Brenda finds Shaq's bones and she goes, "Look, a dinosaur!"
Dinosaur! I was like, what the fuck?
I did find that funny, but yeah, again, a waste. They wanted a ham-fisted guest star in, and that's how they decided to do it. But it made no sense.
None of it.
I like the idea of spoofing horror movies. I think that's what they should stick to. And maybe they did for 5. I never saw 5, but you know, War of the Worlds and $1 Million Baby and what you know, it just loses focus. Just stick to the genre. You know, the first one was Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. Great. The second one was what was it?
The Exorcist.
Exorcist and
Rocky Horror Picture Show,
and a little bit of 13 Ghosts.
Yeah. Great, perfect. The third one did get all over the map, but you know, signs and different things. But I thought it pulled it off well. This is just too disjointed. No focus.
The Ring was the main focus.
Oh yeah.
The Ring carried it through, and the whole point of the alien invasion is because they watched the videotape, so they're trying to wipe it out. So it actually worked.
It did work. Yeah. And
this
even like the yeah.
I was gonna say this one, it's like get Shaq and Dr. Phil, and then somehow the guy from Saw, what's his face?
Billy.
Yeah, Billy. He's with the aliens, and they're aliens, and it's just so messy that it doesn't follow a concise timeline.
Yep.
Yeah, and then so Brenda does what Brenda does in this new Brenda 2.0 character.
Churns butter.
Yeah. But then they do the joke of her having the baby, and then it has the alien face. So why doesn't the ghost, if that's the alien's son, really, and not Bill Pullman's son, why doesn't it have the face? You know what I mean? They even contradict themselves with that.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Um,
no, the baby looked like a mini Billy. I was like, oh god, what are they doing? Ugh.
So here's the culture reference thing. The end scene with Tom and the Oprah type thing.
Right.
You alluded it, right? Explain it to me because I don't get it because obviously I never watched whatever
S-
it was.
yeah, sure. So there was Oprah is a talk show. So Tom Cruise comes on the talk show. He had just gotten into a relationship with
Katie Holmes.
Katie Holmes. Yes, thank you for reminding me of the name. And he was just so
I
excited about the
just
relationship.
I just lost my man card for a month. The fact that I know
No,
that.
no, you're fine because I'm bad with names. Believe me, I get Jake Gyllenhaal and Toby Maguire. I get those two dudes mixed up all the
Oh, for
time.
sure.
But anyways, he was on Oprah to talk about whatever Tom Cruise is doing, but instead he came out jumping on the couch and like, I'm in a relationship, and he was like going crazy, like crazy. And the thing is, the couch is the same that they used, and the background was the same. Everything is the same. So they did an exact replica of that Oprah segment with Tom Cruise. They replicated everything one for one. Even the couch was. I was like, I looked at both, and I'm like, oh my god, this is like the exact same couch. Where did they like find it? Did they just find, where does Oprah buy this couch, and then they like ship one to their studio or something? But it was insane how like exact it was. Even Tom Cruise was wearing the same outfit. The character, and they were wearing the same outfit. The character that was portraying Oprah was wearing the same outfit. So it was just a one for one on everything. So they did an immaculate job at the outfits, the costumes, and everything being the same as that episode of Oprah. And of course, some of the scenes in Scary Movie 4 went a little bit further because he started beating up Oprah and stuff like that. Tom Cruise didn't go that extreme, but he was like really crazy. And he's just like, I'm in love, and he's like throwing everything, and like people are like, oh my god.
Yeah, he literally, Colin, jumped on the couch to express that he's in love with this actress that he ended up dating and having a child with,
didn't they get divorced? Was that not the one that got?
Yeah, they did get divorced.
They did get divorced, yeah, but
And didn't she allege that she was kidnapped by a Scientologist or something?
Possibly.
And that was the reason why she couldn't do the Dark Knight. And then we got that weird wooden plank who to play Rachel. Because Katie Holmes played Rachel and she was cool in it. And then they got this other wooden plank to play Rachel. And I was just like, oh, the best scene that was when she got blown up. Because you're like, oh, fuck, thank God that fake Rachel's gone. Because she's shit.
Yeah. But it was a big deal in the States because it was, no one had, I mean, first of all, celebrities are very, talked about here. People always like to gossip, which celebrity's dating who. So Tom Cruise was probably one of the biggest stars in America at the time. So it was a big deal that he was in a high profile relationship with Katie Holmes. But the fact that he was so overly exuberant and jumped on the couch, no one does that, to express that he's in love. It was just so over the top it was newsworthy. And I think that's where they're making fun of. As far as the plot of this movie, how it ties in, makes no sense.
It doesn't.
Tom was a secondary character to end with him being the focus and throwing. Cindy basically gets tossed aside, like literally like a rag doll, and isn't even really a part of the final scene when she's been the main character all 4 movies. So it was another disappointing scene in a lot of disappointing scenes throughout the movie. But to end with the focus on him, it seemed like a letdown to me. It was kind of an insult to Cindy, who's been carrying the.
Paul was a great character in this, so it was like,
yeah.
Yeah. But
But it
Is
yeah.
that why is that what the whole joke is? Tom Cruise, because obviously it's a Tom Cruise version of
Yes.
right. So
Yeah, that was the whole
that's why
joke.
they had to get rid of the Charlie Sheen Tom, because to bring this Tom in to
Right.
make it that
Yeah.
on the knuckle.
Right.
Oh,
Everything's on the nose. Yeah.
It's
oh
yeah,
dear.
lazy writing. And I again, my point earlier was that they used situations that were only relevant. Like if you didn't know about the whole couch scene situation, I wasn't aware either. Raven, which actually was the one that pointed it out to me, and I went back and I watched the video and I'm like, oh my god, this guy's fucking crazy.
Which
So
is hilarious because 2006, I was out in America. I was based there for a bit on an exchange. It was near your neck of the
mhm,
woods, actually. I was in Camp Landon. And because we didn't do TV, because fuck that, you know what I mean? Fucking,
right.
I've few enough brain cells without watching TV to kill whatever's there. But I generally don't do TV anyway, you know what I mean? I've always been a book or a movie guy. TV is just, and celebrity stuff, fuck no. I don't
Yeah.
care who's shagging who, you know what I mean? Just produce the thing, make me enjoy it, and I just want to forget, you know, I don't care about the meat puppets. They just do their job. I'm happy enough. And then they just go
Yeah.
away again, go back in their box, and I don't want to hear from them until the next thing that I might watch, and just be good at it. That's all I care about. I don't care if they're going out to buy $100,000 handbag or doing this for that one or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Live their lives as long as it's legal, you know what I mean? And they're not harming anybody. Crack on. I don't need to hear their thoughts on anything.
Yeah.
Um, don't need to hear their morality. I don't need to hear this, that, and the other.
Right.
Just
I get it. Yeah.
I think what made this a pop culture for like a day or so, or whenever they decided to spoof this, was because typically when actors or whatever they go on these talk shows, they just sit like this and they just talk about their movie and they talk about their life, and it's just so monotone and boring, and they just talk. They just sit there and talk. They're literally a talking head. Nothing's going on. But for somebody to jump on the couch and be like crazy and doing all this crazy shit and grabbing people and like, it's just like how you don't do that at talk shows. You just sit your ass on a couch and talk, you know?
Yeah.
fair enough. But like I said, it's out of date. It's out of date as soon as it's produced.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? Even when the movie came out, it was probably out of date.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reference definitely didn't make the landing. Because like I said, nobody knew. I didn't even know either until I was told.
Mhm.
Where the reference came from, but then upon looking it up, I'm like, oh. But
Yeah.
no,
Look
it
it up
didn't
later,
stick the
Colin.
landing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look it up, and you'll be like, oh god.
I'll do it after this.
Yeah.
I don't know about
was
you
Tom
guys.
Cruise on drugs? Probably a lot of drugs.
Right, I don't know about you guys. I'm concerned now for Scary Movie 5.
Yeah. I'm still excited to see it.
No,
Again, yeah.
it's David Zucker again, but then Malcolm D. Lee, so it's a joint two directors.
Okay. So that gives me hope right away.
Yeah. And Charlie Sheen does look. I peeped. I know. I cheated.
Yeah.
I looked at the cast, and it does look like Charlie Sheen will be back for Scary
But he's
Movie
playing
5.
himself.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, because his character died, and once a character dies in these movies, guys, they cannot come back. So he couldn't appear as his own character.
Definitely.
My
My one of my favorites that I'm seeing on here is Terry Crews. I love Terry Crews. I think he's phenomenal. So I'm gonna definitely, hopefully,
I am
enjoy
not
his
seeing
performance.
Anna Faris in this.
I'm not either. I'm seeing like Lindsay Lohan and.
Oh no!
Oh dear.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Is this why in the trailer, or they're talking about Scary Movie 6, they're saying they're bringing back the original cast? Have they phased out?
Yeah. Yeah,
They have,
because Yeah,
'Cause-
because the Wayne brothers are the ones, the Marlon Wayne brothers are the ones that are doing Scary Movie 6.
So
So
hopefully we'll get Shorty and Ray.
yeah,
and the
we
well, we've
are.
already seen. Yeah, we've seen that.
Yeah.
The trailer, yeah, the trailer did show them.
All right, so let's. Yeah. I'm worried now. Well, but I
Scary
suppose-
Movie
Yeah.
5 might be a doozy, but there are some heavy hitters that I'm seeing on here, like Jerry O'Connell, Terry Crews. Yeah, so
we
I'm
could only but hope.
I'm hoping that it won't be as bad as 4, but it could only get worse, but we'll see.
Yeah, the fact that Anna Faris isn't it is just making me go, okay, they've completely
Oh, God.
departed. And Brenda isn't the actress that plays Brenda. Isn't on it?
Regina Hall, it looks like she's at the very bottom of the cast, so she might have like
I'm looking on
little...
the IMDb page here.
Hmm.
I mean, if Cindy's not there, Brenda can't exist because she's just a figment of her mind.
Wow.
I'll keep an open mind. Like I said, I still enjoyed this one. I still laughed. It definitely was the worst of the 4 by far. It was a tremendous letdown after 3. But even if this was the worst one of the 4, there were still 9 or 10 moments at least where I laughed, and that's more than I could say for a lot of movies these days. So I'm going to go into 5 with optimistically thinking that there's going to be some fun parts. I am disappointed about the Anna Faris thing, but hopefully there'll be some redemption, and it won't be as bad as this was at times.
Yeah, that was 2013 as well, so it's after the Nexus point. I think we're busy 2010s where the cliff face, and things went wrong, but I guess we'll see anyway. But yeah, thanks guys. Anyway, this is still fun to talk about no matter what.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
You guys add so much enjoyment to this rewatch. Absolutely.
And thanks everybody for tuning in. And just easy to say, until next time, keep up to date with the channel, do the type of clicky things, and remember to keep it creepy, keep it horrific.